Hi, everyone. A new year always brings fresh calendars, new goals, and a sense of reset. But for us here at CASA, one thing never changes, and that's our mission. No matter the season, the paperwork, the challenges, or the shifting circumstances within a case, our purpose truly remains the same. And that's showing up for the children who are relying on us to be their voice. Today's refresher is about grounding ourselves in that mission during our monthly visits with our kids. A chance to revisit the essentials, sharpen our skills, reconnect really with the heart of why we chose to become CASA advocates in the first place. As the year begins, we're not reinventing our role, we're strengthening it. We're recommitting to being observant, reliable, compassionate, and clear in our advocacy efforts. So, new year, same mission. Our mission here at Casa for Kids is really quite simple. We are providing advocacy for children who have experienced abuse or neglect in the counties we are assigned in the second and fourth judicial circuits. Just a little quick update, or maybe it's new news, but Casa for Kids is now serving children in Fayette, Effingham, Jasper, Clinton, Marion, Clay, Wayne, Edwards, Franklin, Hamilton, and White counties. That is a mouthful for sure, but we are really excited about our growth and the resources and the opportunities it has given us to serve more kids. With that said, let's talk about putting our mission in motion. So, what does putting our mission in motion look like? And that really can be, kind of a list of questions. Are the children residing in safe placements? Are they receiving the resources that they need? How are they doing in school? What is their teacher observing? Remember that our kiddos' teachers and school staff really are an excellent, excellent resource that we should be utilizing. What does permanency look like? Is the case moving at an appropriate pace throughout the system? Does the child have, safe permanency options? Safe permanency could be returning home, or it could be in the form of, adoption, guardianship, for our older kiddos that may look like independence. So whatever the route to permanency may be, is it safe? That's the ultimate question here. Are the decisions being made for the child and for the family being done so with their best interests in mind? These are all areas that make up our mission, right? So these are also topics that should be included and touched on in our court reports. So, uh, staying purpose driven is really the very best way to keep our mission in motion. Those phone calls, text messages, emails, school check ins, home visits, anything done within a case should be done with the purpose of making sure our kiddos are in a safe place, ensuring they are receiving, the resources that they need to gather information to prepare our court reports. Because everything we do within our cases, all our interactions, those observations, should be done with the purpose of preparing a court report. So, we want to provide the court with relevant information of substance, right, to help the court make good decisions for our children. Aside from that, we want to utilize our time, and our efforts wisely. Our time is incredibly valuable. The majority of our advocates work full-time jobs. They have kids at home. We all experience busy seasons of life. We want to stay committed to our kids. Therefore, the time that we spend on our cases, we should make every effort count, right? Every call, every text should be done with the purpose of gathering information to report back to the court. Okay, so I really want to focus on the topic of home visits for this session, what to observe and what questions could be asked. Being observant is really the quiet superpowers that strong CASAs possess. As CASAs, we should know the difference between, relying on simply what we're told and reporting what is actually true. Children don't always have the words to tell us what is going on in their lives. Therefore, it really is up to us to show up, be observant, and follow up. A child's environment will uh, likely, portray things that maybe a conversation wouldn't. That's why it's really important that we are observing our children within their home and within their placement, I guess is a better way to frame that, in their placement in their foster home. So here are some things that we should be observing during those home visits. So we'll just run through that. So who's present? We should be able to say who was present during our visit. Uh, Describe the condition of the home. Um, the environment of the home. What did that look like? What did that appear to you? The child's demeanor. Were they sad? Were they happy? The more we get to know our kiddo, we are going to learn what their normal is and maybe behavior that's more abnormal for them, right? So, moving on, the child's physical appearance. Did they appear well groomed? Did their clothes fit, or were they, too small, or were they the opposite of that, too big? Um, how did the child present physically is something we should be able to describe. Sleeping arrangements. Does the kiddo have their own room? Do they share with someone? Do they have a bed? Um, Describe their room, what that looks like. Does it look like a room that is, designed or decorated, or um, it looks like it's, for them? Or is it just, a blank room with a palette in the corner? Those are things that we should be able to describe and that we should be observing. So also, how the caregivers interact with the child. How does other family members within the home interact with the child? Any changes since the last visit? Are you noticing anything, different than last time? And then, does the child appear comfortable in the home? Do they look at ease in front of their caregivers? Are they seeking out their caregivers to meet their needs, or for their wants? What does those interactions look like? These are all really great things that we should be observing and documenting, during our visits. So additionally, here are some questions that can be asked to the child's caregiver. As a reminder, we don't want to engage in conversations about the child in front of the child. So these questions that you ask, they may be asked maybe prior to you leaving. If you have, a quiet moment where kiddos run off to play and you have caregiver for a moment, you could ask these questions. Or, sometimes scheduling a pre-visit call with the child's caregiver is a good way to get some of these hard topics, if you will, out of the way, prior to your visit, especially because we want those visits to be 100%, child focused. But asking about, medical appointments, the status of counseling, how parent-child visits are going, school updates, or simply asking the caregiver if they have any concerns will help keep CASA in the loop of what's going on. But these are also topics that are going to help you build better court reports, right? So just a list here of things that can be asked. It's not limited to, but these are good things. They're gonna, basic things that we should be following up on a monthly basis. So remember to document your home visits in Optima. It is very important that we keep good documentation of our observations and interactions. It really is essential to the integrity of the advocacy that we provide. Our contact logs should be detailed and they should be consistent, right? As this allows us to accurately track our case progress, maintain reliable timelines, and respond more effectively to challenges that may arise throughout the case. We often say, that we want to paint a picture for the judge. So details really do matter. Taking the time to really describe your visit, describe the child, take those, that list of observations and make sure we're touching base on all those areas. Just a reminder, these observations and interactions are entered as contact logs. That is found under the tab labeled contact log in Optima. So if you pull your case up and you scroll down to the bottom, there's the tabs at the bottom is the very first tab. All your contact logs, those home visits, anything note-taking wise, those go in your contact logs. Aside from that, all case-related documents should be uploaded under the Documents tab, which is a few tabs down from your contact logs. And that may be school report forms, medical documents. You go to that home visit and foster mom hands you, a doctor's note or something from their previous visit. Just upload that into Optima. Or if you're unable to do that, get that to your lead supervisor, your program director, and we'll get those uploaded for you. Just good record keeping is really, what that is for and what we should be doing. And this is also the same place, that Documents tab. It's also the same place where you're going to find court documents, case files, those kinds of things. Okay, so since we are touching on, the topic of home visits, I think it's appropriate to revisit the topic of trauma-informed boundaries. Physical contact with our children should always be approached, with caution and respect for the child's history, which is far too often unknown to us, to their caregiver, to their caseworker. We never really know the full extent of a child's history, okay? Aside from that, CASAs, we do not transport our kids, we do not babysit them, and we do not supervise visitation of any kind. Lap sitting is also not permitted, as again, we're not aware of the child's trauma history or their comfort levels. I know this is hard, especially when you have smaller children and, they're very touchy-feely. They want to climb all over you. But some appropriate alternatives would be, sitting beside the children while you're reading a book or doing an activity or just simply engaging in conversation. And also just maybe another way to bond or form an attachment to the child would be to create a fun handshake. High fives are great. So those are some appropriate alternatives. We need to avoid saying, I'm blocking this, I'm so sorry. Avoid saying I love you. The phrase I love you really is an emotional language that can be confusing or triggering to some kids, especially again, where you are not aware of the child's full history. So saying I love you may unintentionally create emotional dependency or discomfort, which could hinder a child's ability to trust us. And that is certainly never, ever our intention. So an appropriate response to that would be, thank you, you are so kind, or goodness, you are so sweet. Give them a compliment their shirt, compliment their hair, their basketball skills, whatever you are doing in that moment. Certainly you could find a compliment for the kiddo, instead of responding with I love you. I know that is hard, but it certainly is important. All right. In conclusion, let's make the most of our home visits. Home visits are more than a task to be checked off our lists. They really are a powerful tool that we have to help us understand a child's reality. When we show up with consistent intentions, we are able to gather those important details that really matter. By preparing before we go, staying fully present while we're there, and documenting promptly afterwards, we are setting ourselves up for success long before those co-reports are due. Strong home visits lead to stronger advocacy, plain and simple. So new year or not, this part of our mission never changes. We're going to show up, we pay attention, and we turn what we see into meaningful advocacy. So, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time.